Hey guys, it's Matty231 with another car review for you guys today. So today I'm giving you a brief overview of the 2013 Mercedes-Benz E63 AMG. This model is the W212 chassis, so it's a facelifted version of the 2009 W212 release, and it's obviously in the V8 Bi-Turbo configuration. So guys, inside the car, beautiful interior, the E-Class, it steps up above the C. I had a C63 before this. Unfortunately I never reviewed it, but I came from the classic 6.2 litre M157 AMG into the E63, and straight away the interior is a big step up, especially because I had the pre-facelift E63, so you notice straight away a higher level of quality, and also just more modern features, being a car that's 4 years newer than the C63 was. So you find a lot of these cars have a lot of aluminum, brushed aluminum, more matte silver sort of look. The E63 features standard across all models the Alcantara wrap steering wheel, whereas the C63's only generally had it on the Black Series and the 507 edition and stuff like that. So this is standard across all models. It doesn't mean this one's a special model, it's just standard on the E-Class. A little bit hard to keep clean. I just clean it every few weeks, otherwise it gets a bit sticky and grubby and it just turns into like a matte, oily surface. So going back to the engine, it's a M157, 557 horsepower, 720 newton meters of torque. So it's slightly less powerful than the AMG E63S variant that you could get in the series, and obviously you can get the new W213 series as well. I haven't driven the S, so I can't tell you the difference in feel I have towards it, but it's still, if I could swear on it, it's a very effing quick car. It's definitely quicker than the C63 with the 6.2. However, the 6.2 was a little more, I feel, rev happy and a little more torquey right from the get-go. But as soon as this thing gets over 2000 or 1500 RPM even, it's just an absolute machine. It just goes. So if you're looking for power, this just stock is excellent. And some people say to me, oh, you know, do you miss the M156? It's such a great engine. And yes, I do, but I don't actually miss it when I've got this engine. The M157, I believe, is a superior engine, and I love it much more than the 156. But the 156 was a fantastic sounding engine from the factory. It was great. So this car here, I have actually got a different exhaust on it. It doesn't have any rear mufflers. It's straight through, so it's definitely louder. But the C63 is definitely a great car from stock, whereas this is still a bit quiet, I believe. And yeah, so it wasn't as ideal. Now this model here, the one I have, is a rear wheel drive car, so it's not the 4MATIC system that was on the E63S, nor the 213s, which now are all 4MATIC plus. So this car is fully rear wheel drive. It puts the power down, I believe, very well for a car that's, you know, in theory close to 600 horsepower at the crank. You never really have any slip, and if you do, the traction control really helps sort of feather how the power is put down, especially in wet conditions. But compared to the, you know, I had a 335i about 4 years ago, I felt that was quite terrible at putting the power down in the wet. It was always slipping, whereas this car and my C63 are very good at putting the power down in the right way. If you do put the car into sport mode, it does deliver the power still very well, and it does give you some play to sort of, you know, fiddle around and get the back wheel spinning and get the tail sliding a little bit, but it's still quite restrictive. However, it's definitely better than most other systems I've tried, even better than the previous C63 I had. In the wet, when you get the cars and you put the car in sport mode and you know, give the throttle a bit of a kick, the wheels do break traction a lot easier, and it allows you to sort of play with that for a bit before it kicks in. If it thinks you're putting, you know, if you're getting too much, I guess if you're sliding too much with the rear end, it will catch you, but you can sort of get it up to the red line and have a bit of fun with it without being stupid. So getting out on the road in the E63, one thing about this car is its gas mileage. So if you're going to buy a car like this, you obviously can't expect the gas mileage to be amazing, and the car is definitely far from amazing. It's not terrible, but it's still quite bad. Like the C63, for example, if you've already got one of those, or you've had one before, or you're experienced it to know what the fuel costs, then you'll know they're quite thirsty. So this car, I'd say, is a slight improvement on it, probably by like 10 to 20%, at best 20%. It's definitely just as expensive to fill up, if not slightly more, but the fuel seems to go a bit further, just that bit further, you know, like I'd maybe get another 50 Ks out of a tank than I would have in the C63. First thing you notice in the E63 is, you might be able to hear it here, the sound. So mine's got a different muffler, sorry, I should say no muffler at the back, everything else is stock. It just gives it a nice groan, sort of rumble, beast sort of sound that it really deserves being the car that it is. The interior sound on these cars, as owning this for 6 months now, I wouldn't say it's amazing, partly because of the exhaust, but it's definitely quiet compared to most cars you see on the road, but it wouldn't be any quieter, I don't think, than my C63 was. When you get the engine going, when you've got the car in Sport Plus and manual mode, the car goes like hell. You do hear it, no questions asked, so you're not going to have, it's not like a S-Class, for example, where it's still quite sublime and calm and relaxing. It's still, this car's still very raw and loud if you want it to be raw and loud. The ride itself of the car is very smooth. You've got the controllable sports suspension, obviously, the AMG, I think it's called AMG something suspension. So you've got 2 modes for that, and obviously just comfort mode. So you've got Sport and Sport Plus, just like your transmission, Sport and Sport Plus. And yeah, the ride's very smooth. If you put it into the, you know, Sport Plus mode, you do feel it tighten right up. And yeah, but I've been around the track a few times with it in Sport, with it in comfort even, and it's been pretty sweet. But yeah, the Sport just gives it that slight more tightness while you're driving fast around corners and stuff. The car itself handles real well from other cars I've taken on the track. Not that I'm a track expert or anything, but it does handle very well for the size of the car it is. You know, it's not a small car by any means, so it's a real big car, but it goes well. It handles the power that the car has is definitely over the top, but it's plenty enough to never feel like you're struggling. You know, you drive some cars that are still, you know, V8s or twin turbo 6 cylinders, and they still feel at times underpowered. This car, you never really have the feeling that it's underpowered. More so you feel it's overpowered. But it's always a great, the power delivery in these cars is just fantastic. It's smooth, but if you want to have fun and want it to sort of freak you out, you can do that. You can still do that in these cars, you know, you can still put the shits up you, get the shits put up you, I should say. So yeah, no questions asked about that. As for speed, the car gets to 100, they say, at around 4.2 seconds for the rear-wheel drive model. I haven't actually been able to time my one, but I believe that would be quite true. I think the average would be around 4.5 when I do it. The car has to change a few gears. You can start the car off in second, or you can start off in first, but the car is a bit laggy in second from the get-go if you put your foot down. But then again, first is quite overpowered, so you will lose traction if you sort of put your foot straight to the floor. The race start mode in this car is quite good as well. It's easy to turn on, and it also is it's a good, decent race start mode. You go in some cars and it's a bit gimmicky, and it's like, oh, you know, it's just a bit of a marketing ploy. But this car's race start mode is quite decent, I believe. So yeah, it'd be interesting to try it with the 4MATIC Plus. Sorry, the 4MATIC. So if you did get an E63S with 4MATIC, I'm sure it'd even be a lot better because you can put that power down. When the car launches in race start mode, you do feel it not necessarily apply the power fully. It does sort of feather it in until the car's moving and it's got traction, because you can imagine if it really did just let power go straight from the get-go, you'd be skidding your flipping tires to shreds. Yeah, so the car is quite, it is quite easy to have fun in. It's really, people go on YouTube and I see comments and they're like, oh, E63 is an old man's car, and yeah, it is a big sedan, and it does look a bit old manish, but I'm telling you now, if you drive one of these, I'd be very surprised if you were still thinking that it's an old man's car, because Heck, it is like, you know, I've driven, just lately I've been driving a 350Z 6-speed manual, and you know, I don't love two-door cars and little roadsters and stuff, but that's a fun car. But it's nothing really on this. You know, when you get a AMG or an M car or a, you know, RS, you're always going to get that beautiful German engineered power, you know, and the refinement of it. It's just, you just can't beat it. And like a few years ago, I had a 2014 STI when they brought the new generation out, and there was a 6-speed manual, and that car was freaking awesome as well. And the WRX was, I owned that for a bit too, the new WRX with the FA20 turbo. You know, they're great engines, but when you hop into like a European car like a Mercedes, just interior wise, it's just crazy how much sort of better they really are. I believe, I just think they're much better. And Japanese cars, you know, they're great solid cars, you can trust them. But from my ownership of Mercedes so far, I think they're fantastic cars. I think they're real solid and reliable, and if you look after them, you know, they'll look after you. That's my view on it. So we're just driving around here, some back roads. This is just after Christmas time in New Zealand here, so it's warm, 25 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. The roads here are great. People love coming to New Zealand for our roads. I don't live necessarily in a great area for roads, but they're still pretty cool. You know, we don't have anything really quicker than 100k an hour here, or 60 mile an hour. So, you know, there's still, you still can't go too fast, but this car really, you know, is great for what it is. And if you want to put the power down, you know, twisty roads, straight roads, it puts the power down well. So, and it just, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's, you know, that sound of the German car is just great. The M157 is a freaking awesome motor. Sorry, don't want to swear on camera. Well, I did before, I think. But really, when you drive these cars, you just can't help but laugh and like swear, and it's just like addictive, the power that these things have, you know, they're crazy. And the gear changes are so beautiful. The MCT, I believe, helps contribute to that. Just a beautiful pop crack sound, you know. It's not like the new 213s where they've got that fantastic sort of pop and bang and downshift burbles. It doesn't have that necessarily, but it's still got a great upshift sound. Like, especially in first gear, you literally, without the mufflers anyway, you can literally make a bang that you could hear from a mile away. Really, I think you could. It just echoes like hell. And you know, going around these corners here, active side bolsters holding me in here. The car really does hold on well, and if I engage Sport Plus suspension, you know, this is a 45 km/h road, being careful still, we're going 80 around it, no sweat, and bang, we're up to 100 already. You know, it's great power. The rear wheel drive is very capable. It does a plenty good job of what it does. You know, it puts the power down real well. And considering I believe these have open differentials, I don't know if that's dead true or not, but I don't think this has an LSD. I only think the E63S has an LSD, so you guys will be able to tell me that, but I'm pretty sure this car's still got an open diff. Obviously the traction control is going to intervene there somewhat and give you some sort of brake distribution between the rear wheels, but still, from race start, and if you put your foot down from a get-go, you're not really losing all the power out one wheel, which is great. So it's still, you know, it does the job very well. Like, I wouldn't worry about buying a non-S model for the fact that you don't have an LSD. You know, like, you never really have the wheels skidding unless it's wet and you put your foot right down, you know. So this E63 is still quite a conventional base model, you could say, to a degree. Like, as I said, it's got the ventilated seats and the you know, rear carbon spoiler and the massage function, and you know, and all that sort of carry on, but it's still quite a base model. Let's have a go. Whoa, that was a bit of a wheel slip there, sorry guys. Shit. So you've got to, in manual mode in these cars, you've got to just be careful because, and I'm still getting used to it, you've got to change gear for it. If you don't change gear, the car literally will just sit there and hit the limiter. So when you've got traction and you're putting your foot down, the car will sort of ease off right at the red line, and when you change, that's when it goes bang. You've got to get the timing right, otherwise you better just to stick in Sport Plus mode and just let the car do it for you. But by golly, it tows. When you put your foot down, it really does get going. It doesn't muck around. So see, I can't remember what I was saying now. It's just so addictive putting your foot down. But yeah, so the car, as I said, it's conventional. It's fairly basic. This car itself has nothing much more than cruise control and brake assist, and I don't know what the collision. It's like collision assist or something like that. So basically, the car will tell me when I'm too close behind someone on the motorway or highway. It'll also beep at me when I'm getting. When it thinks I'm in for an imminent crash. So the car will actually beep at you. For example, if you're approaching another car too fast at a set of lights, it'll beep at you just in case you're, say, looking on your phone when you shouldn't be. And the car's also got brake assist, so if it thinks you're not putting enough brake pressure on to stop the car in time, it will brake for you. Other safety features that the E-Class has that was introduced in 2009 and earlier, but just thought I'd bring them up for you guys, is the seatbelt pre-tensioner, the active headrest. So the headrest, the seat, and even the side bolsters all react in the event of a crash. So the car will basically bring its seat upright as fast as it can, put all the windows up if it's detecting a imminent crash. So I've had the seat one time sort of automatically just sort of start folding itself up, and the seatbelt grabbed me real tight when I've come close to, you know, rear-ending someone, even though I don't think I was, but the car thought I was pretty close. So, you know, passing wise, the car does have a lot of power to easily pass someone. So we've got a C-Class here, funnily enough. So we're doing 80k an hour. If I want to pass them, I can easily just indicate and away we go, you know, nice and easy. And we're pulled back in again. The car's got plenty of power to do that safely. Obviously, I believe, you know, they've got speed limits for a reason. You know, I don't advise anyone to speed, but, you know, when you're overtaking people, you sometimes need the power to just get past them and get back in. Know what? You don't ever feel safe or confident driving a car that's underpowered and you're wanting to overtake someone and get in front of them nice and quickly. So the great thing about this car, really, at any speed, be it 50 kilometers an hour, 80 kilometers an hour, or if you live in Germany, maybe 100 kilometers an hour, 150. If you need to pass someone, you've always got power on tap. Yeah, you've got to shift down a couple to get the torque straight away, but you've always got the power there. Just another tip, if you guys come to New Zealand, just you'll have to get used to the real terrible drivers here. You know, this is a 100 kilometer an hour zone. We've got people always driving 70 or 50 and swerving all over the road, cutting the corner like this guy here. You know, we've got some real beautiful drivers here. They worry about speed, but most people actually just can't keep in their own lane. So yeah, half the time you're not even able to use this sort of car half the time because you're just stuck behind morons like this. So cost-wise, obviously I can't really, you know, talk about the cost of this car with you guys because probably none of you are going to be watching this from New Zealand. But where I got it from in New Zealand, it was around $75,000 for 2013, 30k on the clock. That's kilometers, not miles. Good spec. You know, it was pretty well priced, I think. They've definitely come down a bit more now. But I think, you know, really, for the cost of these cars, you get a hell of a lot for what you pay for. You know, like brand new, a 213 fully loaded in New Zealand is $249,000. So say 200,000 US, maybe, just at a guess. So, you know, they are expensive. It's a lot of money to spend on a car, but buying this second hand, or even buying it if you've got the money to buy it and you buy it, it really, I think, is worth it. You know, yes, they lose money, but if you love cars and you love driving, I think it's worth every cent, personally. You know, like, this is what I love about, you know, this is one of my biggest hobbies in life is cars. And if I want to have a nice car and it's going to cost me, you know, 30 grand for ownership for a year and depreciation, well, so be it. It's worth it. You know, when
whatever car you guys like, whatever it be, you know, like a freaking Subaru STI or a 335i Coupe or a Ferrari, whatever, you know, like, just, I think it's just worth it, you know. Yeah, you'll lose money, but if you work hard and you play hard, you know, I think it's all worth it. So this car has the 7-speed MCT gearbox, and it is a fantastic gearbox in my opinion. You know, I've driven the BMW M3, the E90 series, the E92 and E90 sedan M3 with the 7-speed DCT, and that gearbox really is fast. It's freaking awesome. I love it. I drove it a few years ago because I was looking at buying an M3 after I had my 335i, and yeah, that DCT is excellent. And I often have people, you know, saying, oh, you know, the Mercedes one takes 5 seconds to change gear, but that's, you know, if I get going and click, you know, it's half a second delay, but you know, when you're really launching it from get-go and you flick the pedal, it does change like that, bang on the dot. You know, if you're coasting along or you're not under full power, then it's gonna, yeah, it does have a delay, but really it's insignificant. If you're looking for that bang on shift, I think you're wasting your time. You know, like, it's not really something to get too carried away with. The gearbox in this car downshifts, upshifts very quick, and it puts the power, well, I shouldn't say it puts power down, but it just handles the power very nicely. The gears are nice and long. Well, first gear's quite short, but the other gears are quite long, and allows you to get up to speed as well. But yeah, you've got your pedal controls here, and the gear shift's nice and quick, and it gives you that nice little pop sound as well. If you're buying this car, chances are it's going to have Harman Kardon audio system. It is a great system. It's probably the best I've ever had in a car. If you can opt for the higher spec, well, so be it. Do that. I think the better, the more the better. But the stereo system in this car is fantastic. The bass is just balanced beautifully right, and you've got so much options in the Mercedes command system. You know, you've got the memory card, you've got the music register, you got the DVD, the CD player, you got the FM, the AM, the, you know, what's that other radio called? You know, your DAB radio. You've got all the possible options you need, and they just work so well. And the command system, you know, just pulling up here, guys. The command system works. It works so nicely. It's quick and easy to use, and I'd put it on par with the iDrive. Really, the iDrive feels a little more modern, and you know, it's got a few more quirky bits and pieces, whereas the Mercedes is quite, you know, direct to the point. But you know, at the end of the day, what I think of Mercedes, they just do the job. It does the job it's supposed to do. So guys, that's my review quickly / little tour of the E63 AMG W212 Bi-Turbo V8. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. I'll try and do some more videos. But yeah, I'm just trying to give you guys a owner's perspective on these cars and the other cars I've owned previously, just in comparison to the reviews that are done by journalists, which don't have them long term. So hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, catch you guys next time.